Hi, welcome to Relational Effectiveness. My name is Lynn Hoerauf. I'm an author and a speaker. If you'd like to hear more about me, please check out my webpage at lynnspeaks.com. I'd like to thank the Strategic Advisor Board for sponsoring this video today. So we've been talking about the DISC, the personality styles profile that really observes behaviors. And there's 4 quadrants that we specifically, that ends up looking like. There's the dominant side, there's the influence side, the steady, and the conscientiousness side. And so recently we talked about the strengths and the challenges of each one of them. And I thought this would be a great time to talk about how the intentions of going through this are to be able to understand each other more, to understand ourselves more, and to connect and communicate better. Sometimes when we look at this profile, people can become, it's probably human nature, it can become competitive or jealous, or sometimes they'll say, well, I don't have that, you do this all the time. Well, that is really not... That is really not my intentions at all. Okay, so what I'm looking at here is more a matter of understanding each other and looking at ourselves and others with respect to who we are, and acceptance, really, an acceptance that we're all growing, that we're all changing, and this is about being our best self. This is about doing great things in the world just by being a kind individual who walks in their style with integrity and respect and values themselves and others. So that's what we're looking at here. And to talk more about the 4 quadrants, there's a slide here that shows the different aspects. And really, when you look at this, you're going to see opposites. So D's and S's, they have behaviors that are, when we're walking in that behavioral pattern, they're opposites that are happening there. For example, D's can be very direct and domineering, and S's can be very supportive and tentative in their language, not as direct. So in a way, we're all kind of possibly moving toward the center. Some of the talks that I've done, people have asked, do you think as we get older and go through things in life that we kind of come to center? Maybe we give up some of our ways that have been not as beneficial in interactions and relationships. And I guess I would say yes. In my opinion, sometimes the school of hard knocks teaches us how to be tempered and where we need to kind of gracefully, tactfully adjust. Like Stephen Covey talks about sharpening your saw. And so this is kind of what that's about here, really. When we look at the I's and the C's, the inspirational, influence, and the conscientiousness, they also are, in a way, opposites. And what I guess I want to talk about here is, as we go farther on the edge of the circle, let's say that's the farther extreme of these behaviors. So when we talked about the challenges of each one, we talked about if they overuse their strengths, they can become weaknesses. And so let's just pretend for this particular slide and this example that the farther out we go, maybe these would be more considered weaknesses. And so coming more towards center might be the goal. And I'll put another slide here that might help with that explanation. What I've done here is put the behavioral styles like they are in this circle, with a D in the top here, in the I, S, and the C, and showed them with one of their styles that can become exaggerated or become more of a weakness, and then listing as they go toward center. So these are opposite behaviors moving toward the center. For example, I use the idea of D's they can be considered controlling. And so let's say they realize that and they start to work more towards center, where S's can sometimes be too passive. And let's say they figure that out and they're moving more towards center, where they're becoming more assertive, speaking their mind, not holding back, but being part of the solution, when sometimes they may want to just hold back and not get into any kind of conflict or put themselves out there too much. And sometimes I's can be considered gullible, and C's can be considered overly suspicious. So let's say we have these opposite behaviors and they're all moving towards center, where we're kind of tempering our behaviors, and in that, getting the best out of ourselves. Like I said, the school of hard knocks or the people around us, I mean, we are a mirror for each other. And in some respects, people can say, well, you're doing this, and we can realize, oh, okay, I need to change that behavior. Now, let's say you get that feedback and it doesn't come off very tactfully. Maybe it just comes off and it just hurts, and it's maybe you're called bossy or something of that sort. Well, instead of maybe just fluffing that off right away, maybe sitting with it, maybe changing the words, instead of bossy, what are other, get your thesaurus out. What are other words that maybe what they meant, and just sit with yourself and say, okay, am I doing that? Is that happening? And could it be helpful if I changed my behavior, moved more towards center in this situation? Okay, that's a possibility. Another possibility is sometimes we can judge in others what we're doing ourselves. And so if we get a reflection and someone's like, you're doing this and this, and you sit with it and you're like, I really don't see that. You can try to become aware of it or open your eyes to that somehow, maybe more, or it's maybe I see that in what they're doing. And so this business of humans and relationships, and we're not perfect, and we're all, moving along here. It can get a little complicated. It can get a little messy. But if we can hang in there with each other, if we can hang in there with ourselves, there's really some really neat things that can happen. And I look forward to sharing some of that with you in regards to my husband and I, and the things that we learned from each other and the little messes we went through in order to kind of come out of this and feeling like better selves and a better partnership as well. So I look forward to sharing that more with you. If you have any question or comments, I'd love to hear them below. I know I don't cover everything. I know there are parts missing, and when there's only this much time, there's that as well, let alone my own limitations. So please join in the conversation and let me know what you're thinking as well. I would really appreciate that. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you later.